I mentioned earlier that my biggest issue with companies when I go work with them is that they don't truly understand what value means to their customers. And I had the privilege of working with a company called Pragmatic Marketing. Some of you may have taken classes from them. And Pragmatic focuses on the problem, right? Their constant phrase is, what's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem? And I was able to integrate what they do in with the way I think about pricing, and it created this thing we call a value table, which is so insightful when we start thinking about how do customers value our products. If you were to go to your webpage right now, I will bet you that you've got, in fact, I happen to know this is true, you have a list of features. Let me tell you what we do, right? We do this, we do this, we do this. We're great. We do all these things. Let me tell you what your customers don't care about. Your features, right? And so what is it that our customers do care about? Our customers have problems. They care about solving their problems. So if we have a customer who has a problem, by the way, why'd you build a feature? Why did you build a solution? Why'd you build a product? The reason you built a product is because it solved a customer's problem. The reason you added this next feature to your product is because it solved a customer's problem. If a customer has a problem and they buy your feature, what happens? Some result happens. They get something good, hopefully. Right? And so our customers are thinking in terms of what's the problem I need solved, what's the result I want to achieve. We all sell in the B2B world, and as long as we're in the B2B world, the last column is awesome. Because in B2B, we can take almost any result, use our business acumen, and help our customer understand how much more profit are you going to make because you buy our product and get this result. This is not easy. I get it. It's not easy. But let me give you a couple examples just so that you can think through it with me. You can see this go through. So one of my, I had the opportunity to work with a really, really large consultant. And so this was one of the examples that they used. We're going to use, I asked them, so what's your product? And they said, well, we've got this one product. It's called the Enterprise Cost Reductions. Excellent. And so someone who buys this, what's the problem that they're trying to solve? I coach companies to try to put this in first-person format. I want you to speak as though you are your customer. And so when we put this in first-person format, they say, what's the problem? My customer would say something like, we don't do a good job of managing our overall costs, we don't know how to optimize our processes, and we're uncomfortable letting go of people. Does that feel like a problem? This is often the hardest of the 4 steps, is getting the problem right. What's the level? Where's the pain? Can I make it so that the buyer really would say this and really would say, hey, this is a problem I'd like to solve? You've probably heard Ted Levitt's phrase, nobody wants to buy a drill, a 1/4-inch drill. They want to buy a 1/4-inch hole, right? But let me tell you, actually nobody wants to buy a 1/4-inch hole. What they really want is to be able to hang the picture over the fireplace. But nobody really wants to hang a picture over the fireplace. What they really want is to have a beautiful living room. But nobody really wants a beautiful living room. What they really want is to make their spouse happy so they can go golfing on Saturday. Right? So someplace in there is the real problem. I don't know where it is, right? But our job is to try to figure out what's the problem that resonates with our buyer. Once we have that problem, then we can say, well, let's assume our customer has this problem. They buy our product, they buy this feature, they implement it. What's the result they might expect to get? When I think of results, I like to make these quantitative in some way. And so this client said, we think we can get a 5% cost reduction in an identified division. So that's quantitative. 5% cost reduction is pretty straightforward. It's a little generic and bland, but it's pretty straightforward. And we get it. And so what's the value of a 5% cost reduction? This is probably the easiest value calculation anybody could ever make. So if we've got a $2 billion cost structure, a 5% reduction gives us $100 million in savings per year. Right. Now I emphasize the words per year Because notice we're delivering a periodic stream of benefits. Every year they get this. The best bet is, could we find a way to get them to subscribe to these cost reductions as opposed to paying me one time up front? Because it could act as a subscription. Okay, so this example was from a huge company because I thought you wanted to see one. I want to give you an example from a smaller company, but it's way more fun and interesting. So this company, they make, I think they have 80% market share of the technology that fast food restaurants use to manage drive-through lanes. Okay? It's fascinating business, especially if you eat fast food or at least used to eat fast food and try to pay attention to this. And so I just enjoy working with them. They have this product that has a long-range communication radio. And it's like, well, why? Who cares about a long-range communication radio? You know, they've got it on their website. We've got a long-range communication radio. And who cares? Nobody cares. We got to figure out why this matters to someone. So what I would ask him, and it took a while to get this out of him, but what's the problem that we're really solving? And it turns out the problem we're really solving, again, we're putting this in McDonald's language, right? Our drive-through lane slows down when the customer has to wait for us to prepare the food. Okay, so that's a problem, I get it. What's the solution to the problem, or what's the result? The result is, by taking orders at the edge of the parking lot, we have more time to prepare the food, resulting in 2 more cars per hour during peak times. That's pretty cool, right? Think about it. Why do we need long-range communications? Well, we can get more cars through the drive-through. We get more cars through the drive-through, what's that worth to you? Well, now we can work with the customer, figure out what's the true value calculation for them. If we have 2 more cars through the drive-through, there's 3 peak hours in a day, call it 360 days in a year, $10 average order per car, 60% margin per product. That's $12,960 a year for having long-range communication so we can take orders at the edge of the parking lot. That's what value means. It doesn't stop there, by the way. It turns out when customers wait in a long line, they sometimes drive off, meaning we lose business. They call these drive-aways. Right? The drive-aways, by taking orders at the edge of the parking lot, customers are less likely to drive off, resulting in 1 more car per hour during peak times. You can do the math, it's exactly the same at half the value. Could we do this for your products? Could we truly understand what are the problems we're solving for customers? What's the result they would expect to get? And then how much does a customer value that? My insight for you here, only experts care about your product. Everybody else cares about their problems and their results. Very few people are experts. Experts know what your features are, they buy your features, they can translate your features into results. But if we're not selling to an expert, we have to do that. We have to be able to communicate that.